The moment I realized my entire relationship was built on lies, I was standing in our kitchen, barefoot, holding his phone, and reading messages that would shatter everything I thought I knew about the man I loved. But here's what nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in slowly, like poison dripping into your bloodstream, until one day you wake up and realize you've been dying inside for years. My name doesn't matter. What matters is the story I'm about to tell you. Because if you ever loved someone who made you question your own sanity, if you've ever stayed when you should have walked away, if you've ever wondered if you'd ever feel whole again, this story is for you. I met Marcus when I was 24. He was charming, magnetic, the kind of man who walked into a room and commanded attention without even trying. When he looked at me, I felt like the only woman in the world. And that feeling, it was intoxicating. We moved fast. 3 months in, we were living together. 6 months in, we were talking about marriage. A year in, I thought I had found my forever person. But forever has a funny way of unraveling. The first red flag came disguised as a joke. We were at dinner with friends when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, smirked, and quickly flipped it face down. "Who was that?" I asked, keeping my voice light. "Nobody," he said. "Just spam." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? This was Marcus. My Marcus. The man who wrote me love letters on random Tuesday mornings. The man who held me when I cried about my father's passing. The man who promised me a life full of loyalty and love. But that smirk, that tiny, almost imperceptible smirk, it planted a seed of doubt I couldn't shake. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing things. The way he'd angle his laptop screen away from me. The late nights at work that seemed to multiply. The sudden interest in going to gym at odd hours. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself that jealousy was ugly, and I needed to trust him. I told myself that good relationships required faith. But doubt is a relentless creature. Once it takes root, it grows in the darkness of your mind, feeding on every inconsistency, every unexplained absence, every hollow excuse. One night, I couldn't sleep. Marcus was passed out beside me, exhausted from another long day at the office. His phone sat on the nightstand, glowing, taunting me. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew that once I crossed that line, there was no going back. But something inside me had already broken. Some primal instinct was screaming that I needed to know the truth. So I reached for it. My hand was trembling. My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure it would wake him. The passcode. I knew it. His birthday. How ironic. The phone unlocked. And just like that, my entire world came crashing down. There were messages. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. From women I'd never heard of. From apps I didn't even know existed. From forums designed for people seeking encounters outside their relationships. The conversations were graphic, explicit, ongoing. Some dated back years. Years. I scrolled through them in a trance, my vision blurring with tears I didn't even realize were falling. There were photos exchanged, video calls scheduled, meetings arranged, and then I saw a name that made my blood run cold. His ex-girlfriend. The one he told me was ancient history. The one he swore meant nothing. The one he'd been messaging just 3 hours ago. The message read, "Same time tomorrow? I've missed you." His response, "Can't wait. She won't suspect a thing." She, me, I was she. The invisible obstacle in his secret life. The clueless woman waiting at home while he built a parallel existence I knew nothing about. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw his phone at the wall and watch it shatter into 1,000 pieces. I wanted to shake him awake and demand answers. But instead, I did something I still can't fully explain. I put the phone back. I laid down, and I pretended I saw nothing, because the truth was too heavy to carry in that moment. And the woman I was then, she wasn't ready to face it. But that night changed everything. Even though I stayed silent, even though I climbed back into bed beside the man who had just destroyed my reality, something inside me shifted. A door closed, a wall went up, and the slow, agonizing process of falling out of love began. What I didn't know then was that this was just the beginning. The darkest chapters were still ahead, and the revenge I never planned, it was already in motion. I just didn't know it yet, because the man who shattered my heart would soon watch helplessly as I fell deeply, madly, completely in love with someone else, and it would destroy him. The morning after I discovered the truth, I made Marcus breakfast. Eggs, toast, fresh coffee. I smiled at him across the table like nothing had changed, like I hadn't spent the entire night staring at the ceiling, replaying every lie he'd ever told me, like my heart wasn't bleeding inside my chest. He kissed my forehead before leaving for work. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me," he said. And I smiled, because that's what you do when you're not ready to burn your entire life down. You smile, you pretend, you survive. But underneath that smile, a war was raging. Every fiber of my being wanted to confront him, to demand explanations, to force him to look me in the eyes and tell me why. Why wasn't I enough? Why did he need them? Why did he promise me forever when he was already planning his escape routes? But confrontation required strength I didn't have. Not yet. So instead, I did something else. I watched. I became a detective in my own relationship. Every time he said he was working late, I noted it. Every time he went to the gym, I checked the time. Every time his phone buzzed and he walked to another room to answer it, I cataloged it in my mind. I was building a case, not for anyone else, for myself, because I needed to understand the full scope of the betrayal before I could decide what to do with it. And what I discovered over the next few weeks made me physically ill. Marcus wasn't just unfaithful. He was living a completely separate existence. The work trips that took him away for weekends, hotel rooms with women he met online, the old college buddy he grabbed drinks with every Thursday, a woman he'd been involved with for over 2 years, the personal development app on his phone that he said helped him meditate, a platform designed for people in relationships to find discreet encounters. He had profiles, multiple profiles, with photos I had taken of him, photos from our vacation in Mexico, photos from his birthday dinner, photos where I had been cropped out. I was being erased from his narrative while simultaneously being the foundation he built his lies upon. The irony was suffocating. But here's the part that haunts me most. When I finally confronted him, and yes, that moment was coming, he didn't apologize. Not really. He deflected. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. I had printed out screenshots, dozens of them. I spread them across our kitchen table like evidence in a courtroom. And I waited. When Marcus came home, he froze in the doorway. His face went pale. His eyes darted from the papers to me and back again. "What is this?" he asked, as if he didn't know, as if he wasn't looking at his own words, his own photos, his own betrayal laid bare. "You tell me," I said. My voice was calm, terrifyingly calm, because I'd already cried every tear I had. There was nothing left but cold, hard clarity. He sat down slowly. He stared at the evidence. And then he did something I never expected. He blamed me. "You're never available emotionally," he said. "You're always tired, always busy. I have needs that aren't being met." I felt my jaw tighten. "Your needs," I repeated. "So your solution was to betray me with countless women for years." "It's not that simple," he said. "It's exactly that simple." He tried a different approach. The tears came, the promises, the desperate proclamations of love. "I have a problem," he admitted. "I know I do, but I can change. I can get help. Please don't leave me. You're my everything." His everything. That's what he called me, while simultaneously treating me like nothing. I wanted to believe him. Part of me, The part that still remembered how he used to make me laugh, how he held me during thunderstorms, how he made me feel chosen. That part wanted to give him another chance. So I did. I gave him another chance. And another, and another. For the next year and a half, we tried. Couples therapy, individual counseling for him, boundaries and check-ins and recovery programs. I became his accountability partner, his emotional support system, his reason for staying on the right path. But here's what I learned about people who betray you. Change is possible, but it has to come from within. And Marcus, he didn't want to change. He wanted to be seen as changed. He wanted the credit without the work, the praise without the sacrifice. Every time we had a disagreement, even the smallest one, he'd retreat. He'd go online. He'd seek validation from strangers. He'd violate everything we had built, then come back with apologies and promises. The cycle was exhausting, soul-crushing, endless, and I kept forgiving him, not because I was weak, but because I was terrified. Terrified of starting over, terrified of being alone, terrified that maybe I was the problem, maybe I wasn't enough, maybe this was what I deserved. Those thoughts became my prison, and Marcus was a warden who convinced me I could never escape. But prisons have a way of breaking down. Walls crumble, guards grow careless, and one day, you realize the door has been unlocked all along. You just need the courage to walk through it. My moment of courage came during what I thought was a high point in our relationship. We had gone 3 months without incident. 3 months of what felt like real progress. We were laughing again, dreaming again. I was starting to believe that maybe we'd turned a corner. And then I found the messages. New messages. Recent messages. He had met someone. Not online this time. In person. And it had gone far beyond messages. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. He just looked at me with empty eyes and said, "I'm sorry. I can't help it. Can't help it." For years of my life, for years of tears and therapy and trying. And his excuse was, "I can't help it." Something inside me snapped, not in the dramatic way you see in movies. Quietly, permanently, the part of me that loved him finally died. And in its place, something new began to grow. Something I never saw coming. Something that would change everything. Because the next decision I made, it would set into motion a chain of events that would bring Marcus to his knees and introduce me to a love I never believed existed. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of our bed, the bed where I cried myself to sleep more times than I could count, and I made a decision not to leave. Not yet. I wasn't strong enough for that, but I was strong enough to stop pretending. The next morning, I looked at Marcus across the breakfast table. He was eating cereal like nothing had happened, like he hadn't just shattered me for the 100th time, like our entire relationship wasn't hanging by a thread, so thin it was invisible. "I want to see other people," I said. The words came out calm, measured, like I had rehearsed them 1,000 times. I hadn't. They just emerged from somewhere deep inside me, from that place where my self-respect had been hiding, waiting for the right moment to resurface. Marcus stopped chewing. His spoon froze midway to his mouth. "What?" he asked. "I want us to see other people," I repeated. "If you can't be faithful to me, then I don't see why I should be faithful to you." I watched his face cycle through emotions. Shock, confusion, and then, this is the part that still makes my stomach turn. Excitement. His eyes lit up. Actually lit up, like I had just given him a gift. "Okay," he said. "If that's what you need to work through this, I understand." He understood. He was so eager to have permission to continue what he'd been doing secretly that he didn't even fight for us. Didn't even pretend to be hurt. Didn't even ask if we could try harder. He just agreed, and in that agreement, I finally saw him clearly. He had never loved me the way I loved him. I was convenient, safe, the stable foundation he could always return to after his adventures. I was home base in a game I never agreed to play, That realization should have devastated me, but instead it set me free. I downloaded a dating app that same week, not because I was looking for love, not because I wanted revenge. I just needed to remember what it felt like to be seen, to be valued, to have a conversation with someone who wasn't constantly looking for an exit. My expectations were non-existent. After 4 years with Marcus, I had forgotten what healthy connection even looked like. I assumed everyone was hiding something. I assumed every compliment came with ulterior motives. I assumed that I would go on a few dates, feel nothing, and eventually crawl back to Marcus because the unknown was too terrifying. I was wrong, so incredibly wrong. His name was Daniel. His profile was simple. A few photos, a short bio that made me laugh. Something about loving terrible movies and making exceptional pasta. I almost swiped past him. He seemed too normal, too genuine, too good to be true. But something made me stop. Maybe it was his smile. Maybe it was the way he was looking at the camera, not posing, not performing, just existing. Maybe it was the universe finally throwing me a lifeline. I sent the first message. Just a simple question about his favorite terrible movie. He responded within minutes. And just like that, we were talking for hours about movies and food and childhood memories and dreams we'd abandoned and dreams we still held on to. He asked questions, real questions. And when I answered, he actually listened. He remembered details. He built on them. He made me feel like what I said mattered. I had forgotten that feeling. With Marcus, I had become background noise, a presence he acknowledged when convenient and ignored when not. But Daniel, he made me feel like the main character again. We talked for 2 weeks before meeting in person. Every night, my phone would light up with his messages. Every morning, I'd wake up to paragraphs about his day, his thoughts, his random observations about the world. He was consistent, present, interested, and I was terrified because part of me was waiting for the mask to slip, waiting for the moment when he'd reveal himself to be just like Marcus, just like every man who had ever hurt me. But the mask never slipped because there was no mask. The night before our first date, I almost canceled. My anxiety was through the roof. What if he didn't like me in person? What if I didn't like him? What if this whole thing was a mistake and I should just go back to Marcus and accept my fate? I texted my best friend in a panic. What if I'm not ready for this? I wrote. Her response came immediately. You've been ready for years. You've just been waiting for permission. She was right. I had been waiting for permission. Permission to want more. Permission to believe I deserve better. Permission to walk towards something instead of constantly running away. The next evening, I put on my favorite dress. The one Marcus always said was too much for casual occasions. I did my makeup the way I liked it, not the way he preferred. I looked in the mirror and saw someone I barely recognized. A woman taking a chance. A woman refusing to let fear make her decisions. A woman who was done being small. I drove to the restaurant with my hands shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel in my throat. I was 15 minutes early. I considered leaving. I actually got back in my car twice. But I stayed, and at exactly 7 o'clock, I watched Daniel walk through the door. He was taller than his photos suggested, broader shoulders, warmer eyes. He scanned the room, saw me, and smiled. Not a practiced smile, not a calculating smile. A genuine relieved, I'm so glad you're real smile. He walked toward me, and in that moment, something shifted. Something I can't fully explain. It was like the universe was whispering, pay attention, this one matters. I didn't know it then, couldn't have known, but that walk toward me, that smile, that simple, ordinary moment in an ordinary restaurant, it was the beginning of everything. The beginning of healing, the beginning of love, and the beginning of Marcus's complete and utter destruction. Because while I was falling, he was watching, and what he saw was about to break him in ways I never imagined possible. That first date lasted 5 hours. 5 hours. With Marcus, dinner dates felt like obligations. He'd check his phone constantly. His eyes would wander to other women in the room. He'd rush through meals so he could get home to whatever secret life was waiting for him online. But Daniel made time disappear. We talked until the restaurant started putting chairs on tables, until the waitstaff gave us polite but pointed looks, until we realized we were the last two people there and hadn't even noticed. He walked me to my car. The night air was cool. The parking lot was empty. And for a moment, we just stood there, looking at each other, neither of us wanting the night to end. "I had a really great time," he said. Simple words. But the way he said them, like he meant every syllable, like he wasn't just filling silence, made my chest tighten. "Me too," I replied. He didn't try to kiss me, didn't make any moves, just smiled, said goodnight, and waited until I was safely in my car before walking to his. I sat in that parking lot for 10 minutes after he left, just breathing, just existing, just trying to process what had happened. When was the last time someone had made me feel this way? Safe, valued, seen. I couldn't remember. Maybe never. Maybe I had been settling for so long that I forgot what genuine connection felt like. I drove home in a daze. Marcus was on the couch when I walked in. He glanced up from his phone, that constant extension of his hand, and looked me over. "You look happy," he said. There was something in his voice, an edge I hadn't expected. "I had a nice time," I replied, keeping my tone neutral. "With who?" I stopped, turned to face him. "Does it matter?" I asked. "We agreed to see other people." His jaw tightened. "I know what we agreed. I'm just asking." "His name is Daniel." I don't know why I told him. Maybe I wanted to see his reaction. Maybe I wanted him to feel a fraction of what I'd felt every time I discovered another betrayal. Maybe I was done protecting his feelings when he had never protected mine. Marcus set his phone down, slowly, deliberately. "And how is Daniel?" he asked. The way he said the name, dripping with sarcasm, laced with jealousy, told me everything I needed to know. He hadn't expected this. When he agreed to see other people, he assumed I would fail. He assumed I would go on a few awkward dates, realize that nobody compared to him, and come running back. He never imagined I might actually find someone better. He was wonderful. I said, "Good night, Marcus." I walked to the bedroom without looking back, but I could feel his eyes on me, burning, calculating. Something had shifted between us. He felt it too. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and I continued talking, texting, calling, more dates that stretched into the early hours of morning. We took things slow, painfully slow, because Daniel understood that I was coming from something broken. He never pushed, never pressured, never made me feel like I owed him anything. "I want to do this right," he told me one night. "You deserve someone who's patient, who's willing to wait until you're ready." Ready, the word echoed in my mind. I had spent 4 years with a man who couldn't wait for anything, who demanded instant gratification, who treated loyalty like a burden and temptation like a right. And here was someone willing to wait. For me, because I was worth waiting for. That realization cracked something open inside me, something I had kept locked away for years. Hope. Meanwhile, Marcus was unraveling. At first, it was subtle. He started coming home earlier, cooking dinner, leaving little notes around the apartment, things he hadn't done in years. He was trying to win me back, not through genuine change, through performance. "I made reservations at that Italian place you love," he announced one evening. The Italian place, our spot, where he had proposed the idea of moving in together, where we had celebrated anniversaries before the celebrations became hollow. "I can't," I said. "I have plans." His face fell. With Daniel, I didn't answer. I didn't need to. "You're seeing him a lot," Marcus said. Don't you think this is moving fast? The audacity of that question nearly made me laugh. Fast? I repeated, you want to talk to me about moving fast? He flinched. Good. I just mean, I thought this was supposed to help us work through things. But it seems like you're actually building something with this guy. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw fear. For the first time in 4 years, Marcus was afraid, not of losing me, of losing control. I had been his safety net for so long, the reliable constant that allowed him to take risks without consequence. But now that safety net was developing feelings for someone else, and he couldn't handle it. I don't know what I'm building, I said honestly, but for the first time in years, I'm happy. Isn't that what you wanted? He didn't respond. He just stared at me like I had become a stranger. Maybe I had. Maybe the woman he thought he knew was finally waking up. That night, Marcus did something he hadn't done in months. He reached for me in bed, not aggressively, almost desperately, like he was trying to reclaim territory. He suddenly realized he was losing. I miss you, he whispered. I miss us. His hand found mine in the darkness, and I felt nothing, absolutely nothing. The touch that used to send electricity through me now felt foreign, unwelcome, like a stranger's hand where it didn't belong. I'm tired, I said, pulling away. Good night. I turned my back to him, and in the silence that followed, I heard something I had never heard from Marcus before. A quiet choke sound, almost like a sob, but I didn't turn around. I couldn't, because I was already somewhere else, thinking of someone else, falling for someone else. And Marcus? He was just beginning to understand that the woman he had taken for granted was slipping through his fingers. The woman who had forgiven everything was finally done forgiving. But what happened next? What pushed me completely over the edge? It was a conversation. A single conversation with Daniel that changed everything. A conversation about love, loyalty, and what it truly means to choose someone. And after that conversation, there was no going back. It was a Thursday evening. Daniel and I were sitting on a bench by the river. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. We had been dating for 2 months by then. 2 months of slow, intentional connection. 2 months of conversations that made me feel understood in ways I never had before. 2 months of healing without even realizing I was healing. We hadn't kissed yet, hadn't crossed any physical boundaries. Just 2 people learning each other's hearts before anything else. That night, Daniel was quieter than usual, thoughtful, like he was carrying something heavy and trying to find the right words. "Can I tell you something?" he finally asked. My stomach tightened. Here it comes, I thought. The reveal, the truth, the moment he shows me he's just like everyone else. "Of course," I said, bracing myself. He took a deep breath. I was in a relationship for 3 years before this. Engaged, actually. I nodded, staying silent, letting him continue. "She cheated on me," he said, "multiple times, with multiple people. I found out 2 weeks before our wedding." The words hit me like a punch to the chest, not because of the betrayal itself, but because of the pain in his voice, the rawness, the vulnerability. This wasn't a story he told casually. This was a wound that still ached. "I'm so sorry," I whispered. He shook his head. "I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I need you to understand something about me." He turned to face me fully, his eyes locked onto mine. "I will never, and I mean never, be with someone who isn't completely committed to monogamy. I can't go through that again. I won't survive it." The intensity in his voice made my breath catch. "I have so much love to give," he continued. "So much. And I want to give it to one person. Just one. I think the epitome of love is choosing someone every single day. Not because you have to, because you want to, because they're enough, because they're everything." Tears were forming in my eyes. I couldn't stop them. For 4 years, I had been with someone who made me feel foolish for wanting monogamy, who treated my desire for faithfulness like an unreasonable demand, who made me question whether my expectations were too high. And here was this man, this beautiful, broken, healing man, telling me that what I wanted wasn't too much. It was everything. "I'm not asking you to commit to me right now," Daniel said softly. "I know you're still figuring things out. I know there's someone else in the picture. But I need you to know where I stand. I need you to know that if we do this, it's real, all in, no games." I couldn't speak. The lump in my throat was too thick. So I just nodded, and in that moment, something crystallized inside me. Marcus was my past. A painful, confusing, heartbreaking past. But Daniel could be my future, if I was brave enough to reach for it. We sat in silence for a while after that, watching the sun disappear below the horizon, watching the stars begin to emerge, watching the world transition from day to night. And when the darkness had fully settled around us, Daniel reached for my hand, slowly, gently, giving me every opportunity to pull away. I didn't. I laced my fingers through his, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not excitement, not passion, just deep, quiet, soul-settling peace. Like I had finally found a harbor after years of stormy seas. We didn't kiss that night. We didn't need to. What happened between us was more intimate than any kiss could ever be. We chose each other, silently, completely. When I got home that night, Marcus was waiting. He was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by papers. His eyes were red, swollen, like he had been crying for hours. "What's wrong?" I asked, genuine concern overriding my emotional distance. He looked up at me, and what I saw in his eyes terrified me. Desperation. Pure, unfiltered desperation. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," he said. "About us. About everything I've done wrong. About how I've treated you." He pushed the papers toward me. I glanced down. Printouts of therapy programs, recovery centers, support groups for people struggling with addiction to intimate online encounters. "I'm going to get help," he said. "Real help. Intensive treatment. Whatever it takes." His voice cracked. "I can't lose you. I won't lose you. You're everything to me. Please, give me one more chance." I stared at the papers, at the man who had broken me over and over, at the promises that had always crumbled before. 3 months ago, this moment would have worked. 3 months ago, I would have collapsed into his arms, willing to believe anything. But that was before I discovered what real respect felt like, before Daniel showed me what I deserved, before I finally understood my own worth. "I'm glad you're getting help," I said quietly. "You should. Not for me, for yourself." His face crumpled. "What does that mean?" I sat down across from him, took a breath, and said the words I never thought I'd have the strength to say. "I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, Marcus." The silence that followed was deafening. He stared at me like I had just spoken a foreign language, like the words didn't compute, like this couldn't possibly be happening. "You don't mean that," he whispered. "You can't mean that." "I do," I said. "I'm sorry, but I do." And then he broke. Completely, utterly. The man who had always been so composed, so confident, so in control, he shattered right in front of me. He sobbed, begged, pleaded. He said he would do anything, be anything, change anything. But the words bounced off me like rain on glass, because I had finally built walls strong enough to protect myself. And behind those walls, someone else was waiting. Someone who had already shown me a different kind of love, a love worth fighting for. What I didn't know was that Marcus's breakdown was just beginning, and the depths of his desperation would push him to do things I never anticipated, things that would test everything I thought I knew about him, about myself, about what happens when a person loses control of everything they thought they owned. Marcus didn't take the breakup well. That's an understatement. He completely fell apart. The first few days, he barely left the apartment. He called in sick to work, stopped showering, stopped eating. He would sit on the couch for hours, staring at nothing. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and find him standing in the doorway of our bedroom, just watching me, not saying anything, just standing there in the darkness like a ghost of the man I used to love. It was unsettling, heartbreaking, and honestly, terrifying. I started sleeping with my door locked. "You can't do this to me," he said one morning. "After everything we've been through, after everything I've done for you, everything he'd done for me." I almost laughed, but the look in his eyes stopped me. There was something unhinged there, something I'd never seen before. Desperation had transformed him into someone I barely recognized. "Marcus, I think you should stay with your brother for a while," I said gently. "Give us both some space." "Space," he repeated. "You want space? You're with him every night. You're choosing him over me. And you want space." His voice was rising. His hands were shaking. I took a step back. "I'm not doing this when you're like this," I said. "We can talk when you've calmed down." I grabbed my keys and walked out. He didn't follow. But my phone started buzzing before I even reached my car. Text after text. Voicemail after voicemail. Each one more desperate than the last. "Please come back. I'm sorry I raised my voice. I can't live without you. You're making a mistake. He can't love you like I do. Please, please, please." I turned off my phone, and I drove to Daniel's apartment. When he opened the door, he took one look at my face and pulled me into his arms. No questions, no judgment, just warmth, safety, presence. "He's spiraling," I whispered into his chest. "I know," Daniel said, "but that's not your responsibility anymore." "I feel guilty," I admitted, "like I'm doing this to him." Daniel pulled back, looked me in the eyes. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You are not responsible for his emotions. You are not responsible for his healing. You gave him 4 years. For years of chances. For years of forgiveness. You don't owe him anything else." I knew he was right, but guilt doesn't listen to logic. Guilt whispers in the dark. Guilt makes you question everything. Guilt convinces you that other people's pain is your fault, even when it isn't. I stayed at Daniel's that night. For the first time, nothing happened. We just lay together in his bed, fully clothed, talking until dawn, about our fears, our hopes, our scars. He told me about the months after his broken engagement, the depression, the therapy, the slow, agonizing process of learning to trust again. "I thought I'd never open up to anyone after her," he said. "I thought the risk wasn't worth it." "What changed?" I asked. He smiled softly. "You," he said. "You changed everything." And then, for the first time, he kissed me. Soft, gentle, like I was something precious, something worth protecting. That kiss didn't lead anywhere else. It didn't need to. It was a promise, a beginning, a silent vow that we were building something real. When I finally went home the next day, the apartment felt different, empty. I walked through the rooms, noticing things that were missing. Marcus's clothes, his laptop, his books. A single note sat on the kitchen counter. I picked it up with trembling hands. "I'm staying at my brother's. I'll give you the space you asked for, but this isn't over. I will fight for you. I will prove to you that I can change. And when you realize that he's not right for you, I'll be waiting. I love you. I always will. M." I read the note 3 times. Each time, a different emotion surfaced. First, relief. He was gone. The constant tension, the midnight doorway watching, the unpredictable outbursts, all of it was gone. Second, sadness. Despite everything, this man had been my life for 4 years. Seeing his empty closet, his missing belongings, the spaces where he used to exist, It hurt, not because I wanted him back, but because endings always hurt, even when they're necessary. Third and most surprising, hope. For the first time I could breathe, really breathe. The apartment felt lighter. I felt lighter, like a weight I'd been carrying for years had finally been lifted. That night, I called Daniel. He moved out, I said. There was a pause. How do you feel? He asked. I thought about it, really thought about it. Free, I said. I feel free. I could hear him smile through the phone. Good, he said. You deserve to feel free. The weeks that followed were the happiest I'd had in years. Daniel and I grew closer. We explored the city together, tried new restaurants, had long, meandering conversations about everything and nothing. He introduced me to his friends. I introduced him to mine. We were building a life, not just a relationship. A life. 3 months in, he told me he loved me. We were cooking dinner at his place. I was chopping vegetables. He was stirring something on the stove. And out of nowhere, he just said it. I love you. I froze, knife hovering midair, heart pounding. What? I whispered. He turned to face me. His expression was calm, certain, like he was stating an obvious fact. I love you, he repeated. I probably have for a while now. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't rushing things. But I'm sure. I love you. Tears streamed down my face. Happy tears. The kind I'd forgotten I could cry. I love you too, I said. And I meant it. Fully. Completely. For the first time in my life, I understood what love was supposed to feel like. Not anxious. Not desperate. Not full of fear and doubt and constant vigilance. Just peaceful, safe, real. But while I was building something beautiful, Marcus was doing the opposite. He was crumbling, and his desperation was about to reach a level I never anticipated. Because Marcus wasn't just sad, he was obsessed. And obsession makes people do terrifying things. The first gift arrived on Monday, a bouquet of roses, 50 of them, red, pink, white, cascading out an enormous vase that barely fit on my doorstep. The card read, "Thinking of you always, M." I stared at it for a long moment. Then I threw it away. The second gift arrived on Wednesday, a bottle of champagne, the expensive kind. The kind Marcus always said was too extravagant when I suggested celebrating our anniversaries. Now, suddenly, nothing was too extravagant. I didn't open it. I gave it to my neighbor. By Friday, a jewelry box appeared. Inside was a necklace. Diamond. Delicate. Probably worth more than a month of my salary. A handwritten note was tucked beneath it. Remember our first date? You wore that blue dress. I knew then that I wanted to spend my life with you. I still do. Please give me another chance. I'm changing. I promise. M. I felt sick, not because of the gifts themselves, but because of what they represented. For years together. For years of begging him to prioritize me. For years of feeling like an afterthought. And now that I was finally moving on, suddenly he had unlimited time, money, and attention to pour into winning me back. Where was this energy when I was crying myself to sleep? Where was this effort when I was begging him to choose me over strangers on the internet? Where was this devotion when I was falling apart, desperate for him to see me? It was too little, too late, and it infuriated me. I called him. For the first time in weeks, I actually picked up the phone and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. "You got my gifts," he said immediately. "Did you like them? I remembered you always wanted." "Stop," I interrupted. "I need you to stop." Silence. "Stop what?" he asked, his voice suddenly small. "The gifts, the notes, the grand gestures, all of it. It needs to stop. I'm just trying to show you I care. You're showing me you're not respecting my boundaries." I said firmly, "We're not together anymore, Marcus. Sending me expensive jewelry doesn't change that." "But I love you," he pleaded. "I've always loved you. I made mistakes, but mistakes. I repeated, my voice rising. You call years of betrayal mistakes. I'm getting help, he insisted. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. I'm becoming the man you always wanted me to be. Good, I said. That's good. But you should be doing that for yourself. Not for me. Not to win me back. But I want you back, he whispered. You're the only thing that matters to me. I closed my eyes, took a breath. Marcus, I'm with someone else now. The silence that followed was suffocating. I know, he finally said. Daniel, you're with Daniel. Something about the way he said it made my skin crawl. How do you know his name? I asked slowly. I looked him up, Marcus admitted. I needed to know who was taking you from me. Taking me from him. Like I was property. Like I belonged to him. Like I was something to be owned rather than someone to be loved. You need to stop, I said, my voice shaking now. This isn't healthy. For either of us. Just answer me one question, he said. Do you love him? I hesitated, not because I was unsure, but because I knew my answer would break him. Yes, I said quietly. I do. The sound he made was inhuman. A strangled sob mixed with something darker. Something almost like rage. You don't mean that, he said. You can't. After everything we've been through is exactly why I had to leave, I said. I can't do this anymore, Marcus. I won't. This isn't over, he said. Do you hear me? This isn't. I hung up. My hands were trembling. My heart was racing. Something about that phone call felt different. Dangerous. I called Daniel immediately. He knows about you, I said. He looked you up. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Okay, he said calmly. That's unsettling, but it's not surprising. People do that when they're hurting. You're not worried? Should I be? I thought about it. Was Marcus capable of actually doing something? He was desperate, obsessed even, but dangerous? I didn't think so. At least, I hope not. No, I said finally. I don't think so. Then we don't give him power, Daniel said. We keep living our lives. We don't let his desperation control our happiness. He was right. I knew he was right. But the knot in my stomach refused to loosen. The gifts kept coming. Every few days, something new would appear. Flowers. Books I'd mentioned wanting to read years ago. A framed photo of us from happier times. Each one accompanied by a letter. Long, rambling letters about our history, our love, our future together. Letters that painted a version of our relationship I didn't recognize. A version where he was devoted, attentive, perfect. A version that existed only in his rewritten memory. I stopped reading them. Started throwing them away unopened. But then the messages started. Not to me, to Daniel. The first one arrived on Daniel's work email. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. She's not who she seems. She'll leave you too. A concerned friend. Daniel showed me the email with a confused expression. Do you know who this is? He asked. My blood ran cold. It's Marcus, I said. It has to be. How did he get my work email? I didn't have an answer, but the violation made me nauseous. This wasn't just desperation anymore. This was stalking. The emails continued. Some were warnings about me. Lies about my character, my history, my instability. Some were threats veiled as concern. She ruins everyone she's with. Get out while you can. You think you're special? She'll cheat on you too. If you're smart, you'll walk away. Daniel didn't believe any of it. Not for a second. But the harassment was taking a toll. On both of us. Maybe I should talk to him, Daniel suggested one night. Man to man. No, I said immediately. That's what he wants. He wants a reaction. He wants drama. He wants to feel like he's still part of this. Then what do we do? I thought about it, long and hard, and I realized there was only one option. I had to face Marcus myself. One final time. I had to make him understand that this was over. Completely. Permanently. No more hope. No more chances. No more waiting in the wings for me to come back. But confronting a desperate man is never simple. And what happened during that confrontation? It was worse than anything I could have imagined, because Marcus didn't just hear my words. He heard his entire world ending. And people do terrible things when their world ends. I chose a public place. A coffee shop near my apartment. Crowded enough that he couldn't make a scene. Familiar enough that I felt some sense of control. I arrived early. Sat in the back corner. Ordered a tea I knew I wouldn't drink. And I waited. Marcus walked in exactly on time. He looked different. Thinner. Dark circles under his eyes. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled. Unshaven. Wrinkled shirt. Hair uncombed. He spotted me immediately. Walked over with a nervous energy that made my stomach clench. When he sat down, he didn't speak right away. Just stared at me. Like he was memorizing my face. Like he was afraid this might be the last time he'd see me. He wasn't wrong. "Thank you for meeting me," he finally said. His voice was hoarse, strained, like he'd been crying for days. "I didn't come here to reconcile," I said immediately. "I need you to understand that before we go any further." His face fell, but he nodded. "I know," he whispered. "I know. I needed to see you, to talk to you, to try to understand." "Understand what?" "How we got here," he said. "How we went from planning a future together to this." I took a breath, tried to find compassion beneath my exhaustion. "Marcus, we got here because of choices you made. Not once, not twice, constantly, for years. I know I made mistakes." "Stop calling them mistakes," I interrupted. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is saying something hurtful in an argument. What you did was a pattern, a deliberate, repeated pattern of betrayal." He flinched. Good. He needed to hear this. "Every time we had a conflict, you ran to other women." I continued. "Every time things got hard, you looked for an escape. You never fought for us. You never chose us. You just took what you wanted and assumed I'd always be there to clean up the mess." "I have a problem," he said desperately. "I'm getting treatment. I'm learning about attachment wounds and trauma responses, and I'm glad you're learning," I said. "Truly. But your healing journey is not my responsibility anymore. I spent 4 years trying to heal you, trying to love you enough that you'd want to change. And you know what I learned?" He shook his head. "You can't love someone into being faithful," I said quietly. "They have to choose that themselves. And you never did. Not once." Tears were streaming down his face now. Silent, steady. The man who had always been so composed was crumbling in front of me. And I felt nothing. No, that's not true. I felt sad. But not for him. For the girl I used to be. The girl who gave everything to someone who gave nothing back. The girl who accepted crumbs and called them feasts. The girl who lost herself trying to save someone who didn't want to be saved. I mourned her, but I was no longer her. "The emails to Daniel need to stop," I said firmly. "The gifts, the letters, the surveillance, all of it. Now." His jaw tightened. I just wanted him to know. "To know what? That you're obsessed? That you're stalking your ex-girlfriend's new partner? That you're willing to harass innocent people to soothe your own ego?" "He's not innocent," Marcus snapped. "He stole you from me." "Nobody stole me," I said, my voice rising. "I left. I chose to leave. Because you made it impossible to stay. You didn't even try to work things out. I tried for 4 years. I was nearly shouting now. 4 years of therapy. 4 years of forgiveness. 4 years of second chances. Do you have any idea how exhausting that was? How soul-crushing? The coffee shop had gone quiet. People were staring. I didn't care. You want to know why I fell in love with Daniel?" I continued. Because he's safe. Because when he says he loves me, I believe him. Because I don't have to check his phone, or wonder where he is, or analyze his every word for hidden meanings. Marcus looked like I had slapped him. I can be that person, he whispered. I can be safe. I can... No, I said, you can't. Not for me. Maybe for someone else. Someday, but not for me. We're too broken. There's too much damage. I don't want anyone else, he said. Only you. You're the only one I've ever really loved. I almost laughed. The audacity of that statement. The sheer, breathtaking audacity. If this is how you love someone, I said slowly, then I don't want your love. I never want to be loved like this again. He recoiled like I had physically struck him. You don't mean that, he said. You can't. I do, I said. And I need you to hear me. Really hear me. This is over. Completely. Permanently. There is no version of the future where we end up together. But... No buts. I said firmly. If you contact me again, I'll involve the authorities. If you contact Daniel again, I'll file for a restraining order. If you show up at my apartment, my work, anywhere near my life, I will take legal action. His face shifted, from desperation to something darker. You'd really do that? He asked. After everything we've been through? You made everything we've been through worthless. I said, every moment, every memory, every promise. You destroyed all of it, and I'm done letting you destroy me too. I stood up, grabbed my bag, looked at him one final time. Goodbye, Marcus. I walked out without looking back. My legs were shaking. My heart was pounding, but my head was clear, clearer than it had been in years. I got in my car, started driving, and somewhere between the coffee shop and Daniel's apartment, I started crying. Not sad tears, not angry tears. Relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. It was over. Finally, truly over. When I arrived at Daniel's place, he was waiting at the door. He took one look at my tear-stained face and opened his arms. I fell into them, sobbing, shaking, releasing years of trauma and fear and heartbreak. He didn't ask what happened, didn't demand details. Just held me, stroked my hair, whispered, I've got you. You're safe. I've got you. And for the first time in my life, I believed it. I was safe. I was loved. I was finally completely free. But freedom has a price. And Marcus wasn't done paying his. Because while I was building a new life, he was burning down everything he had left. And the wreckage of his destruction was about to become very, very public. 3 weeks after our confrontation, I received a phone call. Not from Marcus, from his brother, the one he'd been staying with, the one who had always seemed like the stable one in the family. I need to talk to you, he said, about Marcus. My stomach dropped. Is he okay? I asked, surprised at myself with a genuine concern in my voice. A long pause. Not really, his brother admitted. He's falling apart. I've never seen him like this. I closed my eyes, took a breath. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully, but I don't think there's anything I can do. I'm not asking you to take him back, his brother said quickly. I know that ship has sailed. I thought you should know what's happening, in case he tries to contact you again. What do you mean? Another pause, longer this time. He lost his job, his brother said, 2 weeks ago. He stopped showing up, stopped answering calls from his boss. They had no choice but to let him go. My heart sank. Marcus had always been so career-focused, so driven. His job was his identity. Losing it must have been devastating. There's more, his brother continued. He's been drinking, a lot, every night, sometimes starting in the morning. I found him passed out in strange places. The bathroom floor, the backyard, once on the sidewalk outside my house. I felt sick. Why are you telling me this? I asked, because last night He talked about you for 3 hours straight. He showed me all the letters he wrote you, all the gifts he bought. He has a notebook filled with plans to win you back. It's obsessive, and honestly, it scared me. My blood ran cold. Plans. I repeated, what kind of plans? Romantic gestures, mostly, but some of them are concerning. Showing up at your work, following you to see where you spend your time, finding ways to accidentally run into you. I gripped the phone tighter. He's been following me? I don't know for certain, his brother said, but the level of detail he has about your life, it's not normal. He knows where you get coffee, what gym you go to, what time you usually leave for work. My hands were shaking. This wasn't desperation anymore. This was something far more dangerous. I tried to talk to him, his brother continued, told him he needs to move on, get serious about therapy, focus on himself. But he won't listen. He's convinced that if he just finds the right gesture, says the right words, you'll come back. I won't, I said firmly. I've made that clear. Multiple times. I know, his brother sighed. I believe you, but he doesn't. He can't accept it. His therapist says he's experiencing something called complicated grief, like he's mourning a death, but the person is still alive. It's distorting his reality. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to feel sympathy. This was a man I had loved for 4 years, a man I had shared my life with, a man who, despite everything, had once made me happy. But sympathy has limits, and my safety was more important than his feelings. Thank you for telling me, I said finally. I appreciate the warning, but I need you to understand something. What's that? If he comes near me, if he contacts me or Daniel again, I will not hesitate to involve the police. I've already spoken to a lawyer. I'm prepared to file for a restraining order if necessary. His brother was quiet for a moment. I understand, he said. I'll try to keep a closer eye on him, and I'll encourage him to get more intensive help. Good, I said, because right now he's not just hurting me, he's destroying himself. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. The fear I felt was real, visceral, but underneath it was something else. Anger. How dare he make me afraid in my own life? How dare he turn his pain into my problem? How dare he refuse to accept my autonomy, my choices, my right to move on? I had done everything right. I had been patient, kind. I had given him more chances than he deserved. And this was how he repaid me? By stalking me? By harassing my partner? By spiraling so publicly that his own brother felt the need to warn me? I was done feeling guilty, done taking responsibility for his emotions, done carrying the weight of a relationship I had already buried. I called Daniel, told him everything. We need to take this seriously, he said immediately. Document everything. Save every message, every email, every record of contact. If he escalates, we'll need evidence. You think he'll escalate? Daniel was quiet for a moment. I think people in that state of mind are unpredictable, he said carefully, and I'd rather be prepared than caught off guard. He was right. We started being more careful, changed our routine slightly, made sure we weren't alone in vulnerable situations. It felt excessive, paranoid even, but better safe than sorry. A week passed, then 2. No contact from Marcus, no gifts, no emails. No mysterious appearances. I started to relax. Maybe the conversation with his brother had worked. Maybe he was finally getting the help he needed. Maybe this nightmare was actually over. I should have known better. Because 3 weeks later, on a quiet Sunday morning, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Daniel was at his place. My friends knew to text before coming over. I walked to the door slowly, looked through the peephole, and my heart stopped. Marcus, standing on my doorstep, flowers in his hand, dark circles under his eyes, a desperate, unhinged smile on his face. I know you said not to come, he called through the door. but I had to see you. Just one more time. Please, give me 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. 5 minutes. I didn't open the door. I grabbed my phone, called Daniel. He's here, I whispered. He's at my door. Don't let him in, Daniel said immediately. I'm on my way. Call the police if he tries anything. I hung up, took a breath, and through the closed door, I said the words I hoped would end this once and for all. But what happened next? What Marcus did when he realized I wasn't going to open that door? It changed everything. For him, for me, for everyone involved. Please, Marcus said through the door, I just need to see your face. One last time. That's all I'm asking. My hand hovered over my phone, ready to dial 911, ready to end this in the most definitive way possible. But something made me pause. Maybe it was the 4 years we spent together. Maybe it was a memory of who he used to be before betrayals broke us both. Maybe it was the part of me that still believed in closure. Whatever it was, I made a decision I'm still not sure was right. I opened the door. Just a crack, just enough to see his face. He looked worse than before. Gone, hollow, like he hadn't slept in weeks. The flowers in his hand were wilting, clearly purchased days ago, held on to like a talisman. Thank you, he breathed. Thank you for opening the door. You shouldn't be here, I said. I told you what would happen if you came. I know, he said. I know, and I'm willing to accept the consequences. I needed to say something. Something I should have said a long time ago. I waited, silent, guarded. He took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air between us. Not sorry because I got caught. Not sorry because you left. Sorry because I hurt you. Truly, deeply hurt you. For years. And you didn't deserve any of it. I said nothing. He continued. I've been in intensive therapy for the past 3 weeks. Real therapy. The kind where they make you look at yourself honestly. And I hate what I see. I hate the man I became. I hate what I did to you. To us. Tears were rolling down his face. I'm not asking you to come back, he said. I know that's not possible. I know I destroyed any chance of that a long time ago. I just needed you to know that I understand now. I understand why you left. And if I could go back and do everything differently, I would. I felt the walls around my heart waver. Just slightly. Just enough to let a sliver of compassion through. I believe you, I said quietly. And I'm glad you're getting help. Hope flickered in his eyes. But that doesn't change anything. I continued. You coming here, after I specifically asked you not to, proves that you still have a long way to go. You're still putting your needs above my boundaries. The hope died, replaced by devastation. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know how else to reach you. You weren't supposed to reach me, I said firmly. That's the point. Moving on means letting go, and you haven't let go. He looked down at the wilting flowers in his hands. I don't know how, he admitted. You were my whole life. No, I said gently. I was your safety net. You're a constant, the thing that allowed you to take risks without consequences. But I was never your whole life. If I had been, you wouldn't have spent years looking for something else. He flinched, but he didn't argue, because he knew I was right. I'm going to close this door now, I said. And I need you to leave. If you don't, I will call the police. Not to hurt you, but to protect myself. He nodded slowly. I understand, he said, but he didn't move, just stood there, looking at me, memorizing my face the way he had at the coffee shop. You look happy, he finally said. Happier than I've seen you in years. I didn't respond. He's a lucky man, Marcus continued. Daniel, I hope he knows that. He does, I said. Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Resignation, acceptance. The desperate, manic energy that had been radiating off him seemed to deflate. Goodbye, he said softly. For real this time. He turned, walked down the steps, got in his car, and drove away. I closed the door, locked it, slid down to the floor, and I cried, not because I missed him, not because I regretted my choice, but because endings are hard, even necessary endings, even endings you chose. There's grief in letting go of who you used to be, grief in releasing the future you once imagined, grief in accepting that some love stories don't have happy endings. They just have endings. Daniel arrived 20 minutes later. He found me still on the floor, still crying. He didn't ask questions, didn't demand explanations, just sat down beside me, put his arm around me, and waited. When I finally stopped crying, I told him everything about the conversation, about Marcus's apology, about the grief I felt even though I knew I made the right choice. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked when I finished. I thought about it, really thought about it. "Yes," I said, "I think I finally am." And I meant it. 6 months later, Daniel and I celebrated our 9-month anniversary. We cooked dinner together, danced in the kitchen to music from his phone, laughed about nothing and everything. That night, as we lay in bed, he turned to me. "When I close my eyes," he said softly, "I only see you." My heart swelled. "I love you." I whispered. "I love you too," he said, "more than I ever thought I could love anyone." Our relationship isn't perfect. He's stubborn. I struggle to name my needs. We have disagreements, moments of frustration, normal human challenges. But for the first time in my life, I feel emotionally safe. I feel chosen, not as a backup plan, not as a safety net, as a priority, as a partner, as someone worth fighting for. Marcus still reaches out sometimes. Emails mostly. Long messages about his progress, his therapy breakthroughs, his grand declarations of continued love. I don't respond, not out of cruelty, but because my silence is the only gift I have left to give him. The gift of finality, the gift of closure, the gift of letting him move on without false hope. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, if you're with someone who makes you feel small, who betrays your trust and blames you for their choices, who makes you question whether you deserve better, I need you to know something. You do. You deserve better. You deserve loyalty, respect, safety, love that doesn't require constant vigilance, love that feels like peace, not war. I know leaving is hard, terrifying even, but staying in a relationship that destroys you slowly, that's harder. That's a death by 1,000 cuts. That's giving away pieces of yourself until there's nothing left. Choose yourself, even when it's scary, even when everyone else tells you to stay, even when the unknown feels more terrifying than the pain you know. Choose yourself, because on the other side of that fear, there's freedom, there's healing, there's love you never knew existed, and it's waiting for you, just like it was waiting for me.